What's going on, ladies and gentlemen and ladies? Welcome back to another Officer Tatum show. It's been a crazy day. Platner, with his sorry self, dropped out of the race. Nolan Wells, Nolan Wells, people have been asking me to talk about this. I haven't been covering it. I've been really focused on the Charlie Kirk trial, but I got some information about it today. I want to share my thoughts on this particular case. You know, people want to make it about race, but we'll talk about here in a minute. Soccer star was killed by an illegal alien or migrant who's driving a semi-truck. I don't know how many times let me not say that. I'm trying to be a good Christian today. I don't know how many times these nut jobs get a chance to get a license, shouldn't even be in this country, end up killing an American citizen. And you know who ain't saying nothing? Them leftist nut jobs. Liberal judge gets a slap on the wrist after helping escort an illegal alien out of the courtroom. She should have went to prison and never to be a judge again. But you know how they let him go. And there's one more thing that I missed, and it is, I think that's it. All right, welcome to the Officer Tatum Show.
I want everybody in this room to have that same spirit, that same identity carried in your life.
Make sure that you go through life and find your purpose.
And we don't do this just to get a pat on the back. We do it because we came here to win.
And it starts with you understanding that God has a purpose for you.
This is the time to be more bold than ever before.
We're all Americans at the end of the day, and we should love one another. We should be focused on what's right for our country. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about, and it was that I'll do a short Q&A about the trial at the very end of the show. So you stick around. You can ask your questions throughout the entire show. We'll try to get to them as often as we can. And then if you super chat them, obviously we'll see them, and we'll get to those super chats. I want to say thank you to all the members that have been supporting us. Thank you for everybody that has been watching the channel, that have been contributing to the channel. I just want to say thank you, man. You guys are the reason that I'm here, the reason why I'm sitting here doing this live stream instead of being with my family right now. And it's because I love you and I appreciate you, and I think it's invaluable for us to continue to put the truth out there, and it's because of you guys that we're able to get it done. All right, the first topic I want to talk about is the young man who was killed, and I didn't really pay attention to this case as much. The only reason I think it's getting the attention that it is getting is because the kid is black, and allegedly he was killed in the presence of white people. This is the thing that bothers me the most about these scenarios. When I first saw this scenario, I saw a young man who was missing, who they found dead, which is an absolute tragedy. And I saw the fact that he was around other people who could be suspects in his death. It had nothing to do with race. I don't know why we always make it about race. Clearly, it ain't no black and white thing, because the boys seem to be friends with all these white boys. Look like he probably went to a school with white kids. So there's no inherent necessity to make it about race. But when you get Benjamin Crump involved, which the family got to be paying him a crazy amount of money, for what reason? And I think that it's a tragedy that this young man was killed anyway. It don't matter what color people are. It's a tragedy. And we should get to the bottom of it. But anyway, let me give you some quick updates. The video can explain it better than I can. Roll the clip.
An 18-year-old star football player found dead after vanishing during a 4th of July boating trip with friends, as questions swirl about what led up to the teenager's tragic death. What do authorities know about the disappearance and death of college wide receiver Nolan Wells? Here's what you need to know. A 4th of July boating trip turned tragic in Mississippi after college student Nolan Xavier Wells went missing on Horn Island. According to authorities, Wells and a group of friends took a boat out to the island, a popular spot about 10 miles off the Mississippi Gulf Coast, to celebrate the 4th. Though it isn't clear if anything transpired on the island, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office said Wells was last seen around 3 p.m., talking to a girl at the north end of the island. According to Ebony magazine, the girl's mother reportedly took to Facebook to confirm that her daughter had been with Wells.
Time out. Now, why do we not know the color of that girl he was with? That's one thing that I want to know. Why, and I haven't seen any reports, why do we not know the color of the girl that he was with? Because the last person he was seen with was this girl. And I don't understand how it's, now, I wasn't there. His parents know better than me. They know their kid. They know what their kid will and won't do. So I don't want to be insensitive to that. But I don't understand how the pictures that they're showing are pictures of him with these white boys that are his friends. But why nobody's showing pictures of him with that girl? Because according to the information that I'm seeing here, the last person he was seen alive with and the last person who saw him alive was this girl. And was she black? Now, if she was black, we got a problem. Because the whole narrative of the racist stuff will be unraveled. But let him continue. Roll it.
But that she didn't have any information on his sudden disappearance. Jackson County Sheriff John Ledbetter told ABC News that Wells's friends eventually left the island to go back home without him, telling the outlet that Wells supposedly chose to stay on the Oasis.
With that girl.
As it got dark and there was no sign of Wells, the 18-year-old's mother called to report him missing at around midnight, according to WLOX. The next day, the Coast Guard and Sheriff's Office jumped into action to try and find Wells. At least several other agencies also joined in the search, but authorities were coming up empty. On July 6, authorities got a break in the case. A U.S. Park Service ranger had recovered a body off the northwestern tip of the island. The coroner told WLOX that he had, quote, no reason to believe it wasn't him. The outlet later reported that his body was positively identified through dental records. But what led to Wells's untimely death is still a mystery, and Wells's family is demanding answers. Wells's cause of death has not yet been determined and could take weeks pending autopsy results. However, authorities told ABC News he's suspected of drowning as the investigation remains ongoing. Ledbetter told ABC News that foul play is not suspected in Wells's death. However, TMZ reported that law enforcement was looking into a viral clip circulating online, which allegedly shows several people having an argument near the Horn Island shoreline. However, authorities have not confirmed that the footage is authentic or whether the people seen in it have any connection to the college student.
Now, so why is it getting publicized in the media right now that race is a factor here? That's all I'm saying. Like, if it is, it is. But why is it being betrayed right now, or portrayed right now, that somehow this is a racial conflict? Why is Benjamin Crump involved in this whatsoever when there's no clear indication that this has anything to do with somebody's civil rights being violated? If you ask me, based on the information I just saw, the most suspicious person that there is the girl that he was hanging out with. And then he was hanging out with the girl and his friends left, but he wanted to stay behind. The last person saw him alive. The last person he was with was this girl. And it's not that odd that he was messing around with this girl and ended up drowning. Maybe they were going out trying to get freaky and he ended up drowning out there. That to me, there's no indication of foul play at this point. Why do people jump to the conclusion? Let's let them investigate a little bit and see if there's something there before people start jumping on the bandwagon and make it about race. Now, let me show the video of the alleged fight, which when I watched it, I didn't see any indication that anybody was actually physically fighting. And if they were physically fighting, what does it matter? Because there's 100 people at this exact spot watching this happen. Unless you are to think that this fight has something to do with them later killing him over a fight that happened in front of everybody. Roll the clip. Pause. It looked like it's a couple black people in the audience. I see a few black people in the water. I see some black people on the side. Well, if there's black people here, then why is the conclusion had to be jumped to that it's about race? All right, let's get to the next clip. And here's a picture of him with his friends. Now, put this through your mind. The reason that Benjamin Crump is involved in this is because I'm thinking they believe something malicious happened. Why is it that because he's the only black kid in a group of friends that these white kids had to do something malicious? Why couldn't it just be a freak accident that happened amongst friends? Why does it have to be that people jump to the fact that since he's black and they're white, he's hanging out with them, that these white people had to do something malicious against this black kid? Why does it always have to go this way? Listen to this other guy that we had. His son is black. We'll skip Brandon because I think I said all the same stuff he said. Well, let me have this guy come on because his take was very similar to mine, is that why are black people jumping to this conclusion? Roll the clip.
First, I want to send my condolences to Nolan Wells, right? His family, we don't know what happened yet, right? So I just wanted to say that. But look, listen, all the black people who keep sending me this And the people who keep sending me the video of the white kids, the white boy choked out the little black kid out. Why? You keep sending me this because my page is about black people killing black people, the ignorance of black people, right? Us being accountable for us. Everything is about us getting our shit together, right? But if I talk about black people being ignorant, they're going to show me white people being ignorant. Look, they do it as to justify what we doing. I talk about black people killing black people. This is what they send me all day. White people who harm black people. Y'all been talking about this shit for the last 150 years, 20 years. You want me to keep talking about it? I want to know, what are you trying to do? Because nothing have been done, and y'all been talking about this shit 150 years. At least I know me keep talking to my community and keep drilling it. Maybe I could change some of the black people. No matter how many videos I show about white people doing something to black people, I could never change a racist white person's mind. At least I know I could try to change my people. But what are y'all, what y'all trying to do? KKK, David Duke, all these years, did they do anything to David Duke? No. He's living, still, feet kicked up. He's going to die from natural causes. Same thing, J. Edgar Hoover, boot on neck, black people, whole black community, foot on neck. Did they do anything to J. Edgar Hoover? No.
Nope.
And it goes on and on and on. Did they ever bomb any KKK headquarters or anything?
All right, I get his point. All right, let's get to the next one. This is the white guy whose son is black, and this is one of the most ridiculous statements. Let me not say it's ridiculous because I don't know his lived experience. It just seems like every time something happens, these white folk just rush to get involved in this. Because your kid is black, they rush the virtue signal. You will never in your life see a white person who has a mixed kid, especially a man, get out and tell the truth. I put my life on it. If his kid was out there cutting up, let me just give you an example. This guy is a perfect example of that. Wait till the end of this clip, and when you hear what his son did, play the clip.
Black people, you have got to teach your kids, especially your kids that are hanging out with rich white kids, that is not good. You got to stop letting them hang out with rich white kids. This Nolan Wells situation.
Time out. Why you think Nolan Wells ain't rich? Why these white kids got to be richer than him? How do you figure they make more money than his parents do? How you figure they make more money than he do? Oh, because he's black. So what you're doing is projecting, white man. Let him finish.
Should have happened. The parents of Nolan Wells should have known better than to let him hang out with these kids.
Time out.
How
old was Nolan Wells? I thought they said he was in college. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. I thought they said Nolan Wells was in college. We're going to find that out real quick because I do not want to misspeak. Nolan Wells, his parents should have did XYZ. He was 18 years old. And was he in college? Because I could have sworn they said he was in college. Or maybe he was a senior in high school. Now, if he's a senior in high school, maybe you could give an argument of his parents, what they should or shouldn't have done. If Nolan Wells was in college, what are you saying here? Roll the clip.
An older son. I'm not saying it's the parents' fault, but I'm just saying it happens all the time.
Listen to this,
my
man.
older son is half
What'd he do?
black. He looked more black than he did half. But he got into a similar situation. He was fighting with a bunch of rich kids in North Atlanta, the North Atlanta suburbs, the richest neighborhood in Cherokee County, Georgia. And he was fighting with a bunch of boys over a girl. And lucky for him, he didn't wind up dead. He just wound up locked up for a while. But it could have wound up with him being killed. And, you know, we as parents, we have to do a better job in informing our children about who they should and shouldn't hang out with.
Time out. Who was at fault in this man's scenario? Your son, fool. You talk about you need to make sure your black son don't hang out with rich white kids, and your son end up fighting these kids over a girl and went to jail. The rich white kids shouldn't be hanging out with your son. Maybe that's the thing. You made this whole statement about how the parents need to keep their kids away from these rich white people, and your son was a problem and went to jail over it. God, you can't make this up. Is that the last clip? I think there's the last clip in this scenario. Oh, we got the GoFundMe. I want to show this too. We don't have the video of Benjamin Crump, but just so you guys know, Benjamin ambulance chasing Crump, which I think is the most corrupt. I personally think he's the most corrupt. Why do you say that, Brandon? It seems like he's always. Think about this for a minute. I want y'all to put this in perspective. And this is why I'm saying what I'm saying, because there ain't nobody going to be like, I'm going to sue Brandon for defamation. I have a logical conclusion that I've come to. I've seen Benjamin Crump on almost every single high-profile black case, and I don't think one time the cop got arrested in the situation. He was a part of Michael Brown's thing. The cop got free. He was a part of Eric Garner's thing. The cop went free. He was a part of Philando Castile thing. The cops went free. He was a part of what's his name? George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. There you go. He was a part of Trayvon Martin's team. George Zimmerman went free. Like, he a part of everybody thing as a family advocate, and he makes so much money doing this, and there has not been justice on 98% of the cases that he preside over. There has not been justice for these people. When I say justice, I mean the justice that he claimed he's going to get for the family. In these situations, all these people are wrong. But this dude has been on Breonna Taylor. He was on Breonna Taylor case. What happened? All the officers got off of Breonna Taylor case. This dude is on every case that he's on, advocating for the family, making millions of dollars, because I'm pretty sure when they get a settlement, whether it was right or wrong, he get money from the settlement. Michael Brown's family got a settlement. Philando Castile's family, I believe, got a settlement, even though he was wrong. Eric Garner's family got a settlement. Breonna Taylor's family got a settlement, even though she was wrong. All of these people got settlements. He gets paid. They get no justice. Tell me that that's not a grift. If I didn't have the Lord on my side and I wasn't a Christian, I'd be grifting like a mother. He is probably worth $20 million getting all this settlement money because he's advocating for the money and not advocating for justice. Not one time does he got justice for anybody. All right, I put my leg up because I'm getting ready to get in. All right. The next topic we want to talk about is Graham Platner, that ridiculous Democrat. When I first started the show, we were going to talk about Graham Platner and how the Democrat Party wanted him ousted, but yet he wanted to remain in the process. However, we now have breaking news about Graham Platner. Roll the clip.
Fox News alert, Graham Platner has just dropped out of his race for Senate in Maine after pressure from Democrat leaders following rape accusations from a woman he previously dated. Platner released a video. We'll have it for you shortly.
We have to do this.
It's low.
Over the past couple days, really yesterday and today, we have had to have that exact same conversation. We believe that for the movement to continue, it can't be made. And for that reason, we are suspending campaign operations.
Hold on, time out. Not because you get rape allegations and you got a Nazi symbol on your chest and all the other ridiculous things this man has been involved in since the time he made mention that he want to run for office. Not because of any of that. It's because in order to win the race, we got to, the same folk that getting out here and spitting on each other and crying every 5 minutes over Donald Trump decided that they think that all that stuff he was accused of don't count. He literally had a Nazi, a white supremacist Nazi symbol on his chest that he covered up with a planet or something. After he got in trouble over it, he had it. It was popping off his chest. And then when he got called out and people recognized it, he got it covered up. Y'all, these people are such MF and hypocrites. Is beyond me. Now, he gave his little weirdo statement. Maybe I'll play a little bit more of it, and I want to go to Sunny hosted with her sorry self. And I want y'all to hear what this beautiful woman had to say. Roll the clip.
This is incredibly difficult because I know that some will think it's an admission of guilt, and it most certainly is not. We're not doing it because of the allegations. We're doing it because of the structures that are being taken away from us by those in power. And I also feel an immense amount of responsibility to everyone who has worked so hard to get us to where we are.
All right, I'm done listening to this guy. I think Graham Platner's wife admitted on a thing that he was cheating and she knew about it. I could have sworn that was his wife that got on TV. I said, I can't believe this woman is saying this, that she knew he was swinging or something, and they were totally fine with it. Listen to Sunny hosting with her sorry self. And what she, after all these years of crying over Donald Trump and all the alleged things he did, listen to what she said. Roll it.
It is a disgusting time in politics where we decide what we're willing to morally accept based on the jersey you're wearing. And if you are one of those people that was willing to plug your nose, you're the problem.
Well, then I'm the problem, because I was one of those people, and I said it, if I lived in Maine, I would have, plugged my nose, and I would have voted for him anyway. I think that we are in a time of existential crisis in this country. I think Republicans fall in line. They don't fall in love. Democrats want to fall in love and not fall in line. The Republican Party, the bar is so very low. I cannot believe that they want to try to assume the moral high ground on the Republican Party. Right. I mean, you can miss me with all that, especially when you have Pete Hegseth, who was confirmed by the Senate in 2025 as the head, as a cabinet member, as the defense secretary, when he had one drinking allegations. His sister-in-law submitted a sworn affidavit describing his drinking problem, and in order to get confirmed, he pledged that he wouldn't drink on the job. Number two, he had a tattoo controversy, not one, but two tattoo controversies. One was a Deus Vult tattoo, which is used by white nationalist groups. Two, he has a Jerusalem cross tattoo, which has been interpreted as an extremist symbol. And finally, in 2017, a woman claimed he had sexually assaulted her after a conference. She reported that assault immediately. She had a sexual assault examination. And in 2020, and he says it was a consensual encounter. And in 2020, he paid her $50,000 to settle the claim. Yet
why not condemn them all? Because I condemn them all.
But the Republicans didn't do that.
Time out. Republicans, the wasted face and the other broad is on there arguing with each other. Let me just explain what she just said. This woman is a massive hypocrite. She just said, Republicans are wrong for doing XYZ, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to vote for a guy who's a white he had a Nazi symbol on his chest. People were coming out and saying he was a racist. This woman cried every day about seeing American flags and how they make her feel emotional about being black in America. Yes, she said she would vote for a man with a Nazi symbol. Don't tell me nothing about Pete Hegseth with a cross on his Jerusalem cross on the thing. And the Catholic Church had Jerusalem crosses everywhere. And she y'all made it into a controversy. There was no controversy around his tattoos. Then some woman said he raped her. I remember I looked this up when the woman accused him of raping her like a long time ago or whatever the case may be. And I think it was very suspicious at the thing she said. I think the text came out or something. It was consensual. Yeah. I think they were in like a hotel room and she had him take her. She had him take her back to her hotel or something like that. And I seen Pete Hegseth, man. He's a handsome dude. Come on, lady, quit lying. He probably paid you $50,000 to shut up and stop dragging his name through the mud because she had a sex assault kit and it did not yield anything. Look, there's two different things here. If you can accuse somebody of sexual assault, which women do all the time and they lying, I say 90% of these sexual assault lying women. Some women are telling the truth, but you have these women accuse people, and then they don't want to do anything criminal. They just want civil. They want money. They want to go after your personality and character. But then you have women who actually get abused, and they actually have things done. Now, if you got abused for real, and you had a kit done, it would yield that there was some type of assault that happened, and people go to jail over that. You go to jail before they prove whether you did it or not. You go into jail. The fact that Pete Hegseth did not go to jail, and was never charged with this should tell you everything you need to know. And then you look at the scenario as I remember it. She was drunk. She consented to it, and then she said she didn't, but then she did. Then she's texting him, "I had a good time. I want to see you again," or something crazy. You lying or chata. All right, let's get to. We got to move on because I got to get up out of here. Let's skip that one. Not unless Nick think I need to keep it. I think we can skip both of these. Let's just jump to the Q&A and let's get up out of here. All right. Just so you guys know, just so you're informed about it, I'm not gonna do a full video about it. But that judge that snuck that illegal alien out of the courtroom, she got a slap on the wrist. I know it's neck breaking for you, but these people are stupid and evil. She snuck an illegal alien out of a courtroom to try to avoid proceedings, which is a felony crime, and all she got was a $5,000 fine. And then another illegal alien is driving it. I think he was an illegal alien, driving a car, probably did not have a license, can't read the street sign, ran over and killed a kid who's a star athlete, tried to break his dash cam so they couldn't have evidence of it. That mother should have never been in this country. But y'all cool with it. Not y'all, but I'm talking about these other fools. They cool with it, and they want Americans to keep dying at the hands of these people that should never even be over here in the first place. Now, if you're an American citizen, you kill somebody like that, you're wrong, you're going to go to jail. You should be ashamed of yourself. But if you're illegal, it's 100% avoidable because you shouldn't have been here. All right, let's get to some Q&A. I want to do a quick Q&A. How much time am I at? I want to do a quick Q&A about the trial. Because I've been there every single day. I've been around Erica. I've been at the trial. I've been listening to every single ounce of evidence. I have not missed a single minute of it. I'm in the courtroom while it's in session every second. As much as sometimes I want to pull my eyeballs out and throw them on the ground and step on them, I still listen and I still pay attention because this is important to me. It's important to the Kirk family, and it's important for y'all to know the truth. Let's do a Q&A. If you got a question, ask the question in the comment section. If we see it, we'll pop it up. If you super chat, it's more than likely we'll see the super chat and we'll put the question in there. What was being discussed when the cameras were turned off? I'm not really sure what you're explaining. I'm assuming that today, I don't know if you're saying today specifically, or the question is about when the cameras are off in general. So I'll explain today just real quickly. Today, when there was a prolonged period of recess, what was being discussed is what would be admissible in court, which was the evidence of Lance Twiggs' testimony was admitted, but the discussion was what, if any, of his testimony should be redacted or not allowed for the public to see or hear. And it went way longer than I think it should have. I think it's very simple. And I know the judge has a very difficult situation because this is one of his biggest cases ever, probably the biggest case he'll ever have, and he don't want to mess this up, so he's taking all the precautions. I get it. I understand it. I don't like it, but I know what it is. But he took a very long time trying to decipher what he would present to the public because Lance Twiggs' interview was a recording. They wanted the prosecution wanted to play it in court, but then the defense said it was a violation of Tyler Robinson's constitutional rights to a fair trial because it could be incriminating. I, honest to God, true, feel like they did not have a claim whatsoever on this. They were belaboring the point. The judge, in my opinion, could have done a better job by stepping in, but that's not his job. But I think the prosecution could have done a better job by stepping in and saying, look, y'all are ridiculous as his constitutional right, my you know what. I get it. I understand it. He does have a constitutional right to do certain things, but that does not preclude us from putting evidence out into the ether. And here's the thing that bothers me about the whole thing is that they're worried. The defense is fighting really hard to not taint the jury. But by not allowing information out there could also taint the jury because these nut jobs are out here spreading conspiracy theories. Anyway, we got another question. Do you think the preliminary trial will actually be over on Friday? I do not think the preliminary trial will be over on Friday. I just don't think it will be. I don't know if the judge is going to make them, but I do not think it's going to be over. And it is because mismanagement from the judge. This is my opinion. And if the judge is watching this, I understand what his dilemma is, but that does not excuse the fact that this should be going and moving a lot quicker than it is, because the defense has just laid on by just, I call it filibustering, but they keep the first 2 days, they're arguing things that the judge said, I'm going to overrule this objection. He's already established that this is a preliminary hearing, a pretrial hearing. This is a probable cause hearing. And they let the defense argue for 3 hours of something that the judge has already established that he would overrule. And they let him do it for 3 hours one day, and they did it for hours the other day. Everything that the prosecution did, they objected to. At some point, I think the judge should have said, if you say this, I'm going to overrule. And therefore, when they did it and they go, I object, they go, it's the same argument, I overrule. That's all you have to say. But instead, he let them go to rigmarole and just say the same thing over and over. And that's why we're at a trial right now where they still got important witnesses that still need to be interviewed. The defense have 2 other witnesses. And I don't think there's any way in the world, at the way it's going now, that they're going to finish on Friday at 5 p.m. Don't let me get worked up. I want the judge to manage the court better, and I need them to move the process back. This is not a trial hearing. This is a probable cause hearing. This sugar honey iced tea should have been over a long time ago. It is very simple. They got video. They got all the evidence you need. They need to lay it out, and it's over. The judge go back to the back. Probable cause is established. I digress, but I'm just frustrated with it because today was a completely wasted day, in my opinion. Nothing happened today. Do you remember anything happened today? Nothing happened today. Anyway, do you think that the defense will eventually offer a plea deal due to the level of evidence that is presented, or will they gamble with the full trial? That is an incredible question. I do not know the answer to that question. If I were the defense, I would say, please give me a deal and we'll take it. There's no way. I cannot see that. First of all, probable cause hearing is the threshold is a reasonable person believe that this person reasonably did the crime. It's not even a high burden threshold. Like whenever you arrest somebody on the street, they could not even do the crime. Because the burden of probable cause don't even mean they did it. It just means if the evidence was presented to a reasonable person, would they believe that this person could have done the crime? And the answer is yes. So the probable cause threshold is very low. Hands down, I think they got probable cause, even if they stopped the trial today. However, I honestly believe that when the evidence is fully brought forward, there is no chance that Tyler Robinson, unless there's some type of something happens in the trial where it's a fluke or you get a weirdo on a jury and they just refuse to acquiesce to anything and they create a hung jury or something. There's no way that this boy is walking away from this with the evidence that I have seen so far. Why is it important that Why is it so important that Tyler turned himself in? They spent a lot of time on it in court. I think this is, to me, this is one of the most damning things to the defense. Because what argument will you present if your defendant turned himself in when it was not necessary? If they had identified Tyler Robinson and he turned himself in, that'll be a different scenario. I would argue, well, y'all said it was him. He didn't want a conflict. He didn't want to get killed in a standoff. So since y'all identified him, he said, I'm going to turn myself in. That, to me, still opens the possibility that he may not have done it. He just felt compelled to turn himself in because the evidence was there and his name was named as a suspect. But when you're not even named as a suspect, when they don't even know your identity, like when I say identity, I mean they don't know who this person is that they see on the camera. They have no idea. And then this is something crucial that happened in the trial today that I think people should be paying attention to, is that he turned himself in and he was not under arrest. They still had not even considered that there was probable cause that exists, because just because you turn yourself in don't automatically mean that you admitted to guilt. They said in court today, verified, that he was just detained while they were questioning him. They didn't arrest him until they interviewed his mother and his father and interviewed the person who was a family friend that turned him in. They didn't even arrest him until after they interviewed them, and their testimony gave them probable cause to believe that he committed the crime. I don't even think Tyler Robinson admitted to anything in his interview. And I think that that's something that's incredibly crucial. Do you think Erica Kirk wants the death penalty? Do you want the death penalty? I'm not sure. I cannot speak for Erica Kirk. She's probably a lot more forgiving than I am because obviously her husband was killed and she's more intimate in the scenario. I want the death penalty. I think he deserves the death penalty according to the law. I don't think he deserved the death penalty because I want to be punitive towards him. Because if it was up to me, the person who killed Charlie Kirk should get the same treatment that Charlie Kirk got, and I would love to watch that happen. However, according to the law, according to the court, according to evidence that's presented, I think he deserved capital punishment, which is the death penalty in this case, because he not only pre-planned that premeditated murder, he not only did it, he did it in front of a ton of victims. To be honest, everybody out there, 3,000 people were a victim of this crime as well. Discharging a firearm on campus is a crime. And you talk about all the people who were victimized, getting shot over, people that could have been shot and injured, all the people that the gun was pointed towards. I mean, he legitimately, all these people should be victims of a crime. You have him doing that, you have it being premeditated, and then you have the enhancement, which is he did it because he hated his political beliefs and his religious theology. And he tried to cover up the crime, and he, and all the other things that contributed to the lack of remorse. Therefore, I think he should get capital punishment. Are the defense attorneys hired by the family or appointed? Here's the crazy thing that I found out the other day, and this is why they're literally milking the clock. The defense team is selected by the family but paid for by the state. So they give Tyler Robinson a defense budget. And I think it makes sense because this is a preliminary probable cause hearing. And so they have to, it's almost like having how you have a public defender. But they have allotted him, I think, $1 million or something like that in order to hire his own counsel to defend him in this preliminary hearing. And so it is somebody that was selected by the family, but it is paid for by, I believe the state is paying for it on his behalf. So that's a crazy one. Okay, last thing is super chat from, Michael and Cassie, I'm sorry. Is the judge going to put his foot down on the defense? The answer is no. And this will be the last question, and I'm going to tell you why the judge is not going to put his foot down. And I do not blame him, even though I don't like it. The judge in this case, in my opinion, what I would like for him to do, according to the way I like this to go, is I like him to put his foot down and in the rear end of the defense when they're sitting here repeating themselves 400 times in a row about the same thing that he overruled an objection. And you could tell, everybody in the world can tell, that they're sitting here delaying this trial. There's so many things that they did not have to go through that the judge could have nipped in the butt. 3 hours of talking to the forensic investigator, the DNA forensic person, for 3 hours was inhumane. It went far beyond the scope of a probable cause hearing. And the judge knew it. Everybody knew it. But here's why the judge is not going to intervene. Because he do not want this trial to be overruled at a later date, because this is his entire career and reputation. And I said this, and nobody can say anything about me coming up with this today or whatever. I said this 2 or 3 days ago. Because this is his reputation. And if he did not handle this with care, and this killer, if he is found guilty and they did not do things properly in the preliminary hearing, it's going to fall back on him, and this could get overturned, although Tyler Robinson, if he's found guilty, was the killer. And no judge want that on their consciousness. And so he's going to let them say whatever they need to say, and the record to show that he gave them every opportunity to uphold the Constitution for their client and do the best that they can, and he heard them clearly on every point. I hate it, but I see where he's going with it. All right. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. I'm going to get up out of here. I love you. I'll see y'all on the next one. We out.